All right. Good afternoon. It has been quite a while since I've captured a recording. It's Monday, May 5th, 2025, here in Sarasota, Florida. And I just wanted to check in. One of the reasons I haven't done a recording is because I just don't really know how to succinctly capture any one aspect of my world, let alone try to paint a picture of what the conglomerate of my world is right now. And it's just so I worked year 22 of the event that got me into the triathlon and running business to begin with 22 years ago in 2004. Um, the long and the short of it is, it was an intense week for me, 8 days, on a lot of levels. So I have been recovering this past week from that experience, but more so processing it in a way because I know consciously that I am it's time to move on from it. I do not will not be working it going forward. And what that represents in my world and in my story, um, oh my God, it was the first triathlon that I ever did. And when I stumbled upon the sport of triathlon, I was arguably at the peak of my body image problem, my eating disorder issues. So I was drawn to that world from imbalanced, unhealthy energy. And then it became now sort of a default career as a result of an opportunity to work it coming to me the next year within weeks of my divorce being finalized and my life being in a really one of the lowest spots of my adult life. Um, for certain. I didn't have a plan B to the marriage route, and I was hurting, and I was quite literally laid out on the couch when a phone call came in for an opportunity to help a friend that was serving as the volunteer coordinator for that race. She threw me $500. I assisted her. And then it began. The next year, I was asked back as the head, the volunteer coordinator. I was asked to come back in her position. She didn't work it the next year, and the rest, as they say, is history. And given given what my world is right now, and the role that my role in events is playing, it's just it's impossible for me to portray this with words alone in a way that in a storyline, in a way that people are used to stories being told. I am a multidimensional storyteller. So I'm sharing stories from multiple, not just multiple perspectives. We're used to stories coming at us from different perspectives. You know, different characters have different perspectives, but I'm literally coming at it from energetic, like different dimensions. Um, Commonly we hear 3D and 5D right now being spoken about in the spiritual realm, and as it pertains to this thing called ascension that is taking place on our planet right now. And so I am being called to trust this rough transition that it will be, to allow myself to really begin to share the stories multidimensionally. And because it's a different way of telling stories, it's going to take a minute. It's going to take some videos. to ease my way into how to do that, you know, how to do that. In some ways, I've been sharing my story multidimensionally for over 12 years now on this YouTube channel of mine. Um, yep, I got to capture some videos this week. I got to capture some videos this week. I need to bring words and voice to the plethora of feelings, the vast spectrum of feelings that I continue to experience. Because this latest round is really, it's going deeper and higher than I've gone. And I'm going deeper and higher, where by definition, I'm in dimensions that are not this one, but I'm still very much in this dimension and will be at least till October, but likely through the whole end of this year. So it's the last time that I was allowing myself to go this deep and this high and to share with sort of an innocence and a naivety, purposefully, with the innocence and naivety maintained. I was isolated. And in the last really big transition of my life, I had started over in Seattle. I unexpectedly ended up back here. I came back here with a suitcase and a bike and ended up building everything that I have right now from scratch, least of which my business. And I feel safe to say that we're off the ground with the business. We're off the ground, not flying, not soaring yet, but we're off the ground. And I'm always careful these days to share the active, sharing publicly something that is active. Sharing when something has passed is a different thing. Once you're through something, good or bad, sharing when it's in the past is one thing. But sharing as something is currently playing out, if you're not careful with whom you share, even though it feels like sharing positive, what you're experiencing as positive, happy things in the live moment, that everybody would have no trouble cheering your story on. The reality is not everybody is interested, is able to cheer your story on. And that's okay. Like, I don't need every Tom, Dick, and Harry to be a cheerleader for my story. But I'd rather not expose my story to anybody that isn't able to merge their story with my story, or or acknowledge that their story isn't affected by my story, and it doesn't hurt them to cheer me on. They don't have to like participate in my story, but it doesn't hurt me to cheer on somebody else's story. If that's what makes them happy, I want my fellow human beings to be happy, even if what they're doing that makes them happy is exactly opposite of what I'm doing. We want to be cheerleaders. And it's a matter of, do you cheerlead from the sideline while you consciously keep your stories separate because they don't align? And or are you consciously co-creating the story by virtue of seeing how your stories overlap? And neither one is right or wrong, but they're mutually exclusive. You're either working to understand that we're all living our own perspectives, but when you come together, coming together with agreement and awareness and transparency of what you're coming together for, and then knowing you always have a choice to be like, no thanks. That's not a story I want to be a part of. But this story I really want to be a part of. And sometimes the overlap is really obvious. But sometimes for one reason or not, it's not obvious. And I'm out there working to be an every second of every day example of the extent to which we're intended to live our stories, living the story, writing our own stories, orchestrating our own, conducting our own orchestras, and understanding how we do that. And this latest round is this leveling up. I mean, the leveling up is so accelerated. It's definitely on a monthly basis. It's definitely on a monthly basis where it's leveling up. And this one's a doozy. This one's a doozy. And it's all about heart and love. I mean, it ultimately all really does come down to love and the oneness that we all are in that love. Just tell the story like you always just tell the story. I need you got to bring voice to the story, Alyson. Becoming Iron Woman within Iron Man. I want a man that can hold the space and honor what I've done masculine energy wise, what I've done. And added to that with the understanding that the inspiration for it, the motivation for it is this return of the divine feminine, is the spiritual shift in consciousness. It's the bridging from where we are to more and more accurate representation of what truth is, what reality is. It required my masculine. I had to come into this is a world of masculine energy, imbalance, and dominated by masculine and not necessarily healthy masculine. And we're shifting into a world of that's much more balanced, least of which between feminine and masculine. But because this is leaned so heavy masculine, this is going to appear no matter what to be way more feminine. And this is where I want to be. And I want to, in the stereotypes and the kind of old school, old paradigm, very gender specific looking at it, I can't be in my feminine if I don't have a man to take care of me, and there is it said in a higher vibrational way that kind of gets us from imagining the encasement in terms of man and woman, but just energy, speaking about it from the energy. The feminine energy is more about being, and the masculine is doing.